This video is going to have a look at calculating the different measures of center we use when we are analyzing data. By the end of the video, you will be able to calculate the mean, the median, and the mode. So when we're talking about measures of center or measures of central tendencies, we are looking at being able to identify where the middle of a data set is. And when we are looking at the measures of center, we are looking at three different types of calculations. The first calculation is the mean or the average. So what is the average of the group of numbers? The second measure of center that we look at is median. And median is the middle number. So we are working out when all our numbers are in ascending order, what is the middle of the data set? And the last one is mode. What number in the data set appears most common? So we're going to go through and have a look at how do we complete each of those calculations to be able to calculate for the measures of center for a data set. So the first one we're going to have a look at is calculating the mean. So when we calculate the mean is equal to the sum of all of the numbers divided by the total number of numbers. And you can see that we use this formula that's made up of symbols. So make sure that you are familiar with the formula and what each of the symbols mean. So when we've got a line above the x, that is our symbol for mean. And x in this case is the score or the numbers. So the mean of the numbers is equal to the sum of the numbers. And the backwards e is our symbol for the sum of the numbers divided by n, which is the total number of numbers in the data set. So let's have a look at the steps required to be able to calculate the mean of a data set. The first step is to add all the values together. The second step is to determine the number of numbers in the data set. So count the number of numbers you have. The third step is going to be to write the formula. Fourth step, substitute in the values into the formula. And then step 5 is to calculate the answer. So let's have a look at an example. And we want to calculate the mean of the following data set. So to be able to calculate the mean, the first step is going to be add up all of the values together. So the sum of all my numbers is adding them all together. And when I add them all together, it is going to equal 110. When you've got a large number set and you are adding them up onto your calculator, I would do it twice to make sure you get the same answer and haven't made a mistake in one of them. That's just a quick way to make sure that you are calculating this sum correctly. Step 2 will be to determine the number of numbers. So we'll count how many numbers we have. And if we count up all of our numbers in our data set, we're going to get a total of 18 numbers. The next step is going to be to write the formula. So the mean equals the sum of the numbers divided by the number of numbers. Next step is to substitute in our values into the formula. So our mean is going to equal to 110 divided by 18. So our final step is to calculate the answer, and our mean is going to equal to 6.11. Now when you are calculating the average, if the question doesn't specify, calculate it to 2 decimal places. So that's an example of how do we calculate the mean or the average of a data set. Next we'll have a look at the steps for calculating the median. Now the first step and the most important step when you're calculating the median is to arrange the numbers into ascending order. So from smallest to largest. If you do not do this step, it is very unlikely that you will be able to correctly calculate the median. So make sure that you are arranging the numbers in ascending order as your first step. The second step is to find the location of the middle number. And to do that, we use the formula of n plus 1 divided by 2. So the number of numbers that you've got plus 1 divided by 2, that will let you know where along in the data set the middle is going to be. The third step is to locate the median in the data set. So if step 2 told us we're looking for the 5th number, we will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and look for the 5th number from the beginning of the data set. That is why it is really important that the numbers are in ascending order. If in step 2, say we had 6 numbers in our data set, 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So our median is actually between the 3rd and 4th number in our data set. When we do that, you need to locate the 3rd and the 4th number add them together and divide them by 2. That is going to be your median number. So your median number may not be an actual number in the data set. It may be between 2 of the numbers. So let's have a look at some examples of how do we calculate the median of a data set. So looking at A, I've got a group of numbers and I want to calculate the median. So the first step I'm going to do is to arrange the numbers into ascending order. Remember, this is the most important step. You will not get the right answer if you do not arrange in ascending order. The second step is to calculate the median term. So to do that, we use the formula of n plus 1 divided by 2. So we need to count up all of our numbers. So in total, I have got 18 numbers in my data set. So it's going to be 18 plus 1 divided by 2. So that is going to be my 9.5th term. So the third step is now to identify the median term. And to do that, I need to number from the beginning of my number set to I get to the 9th and 5th term. So doing that, I start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9th. So my 9th number is 5. My 10th number is 6. So my median term is going to be in between 5 and 6. So to be able to calculate the median, I need to add 5 and 6 together and divide it by 2, and that is going to be 5.5. So my median for this example is going to be 5.5. So having a look at a second example for calculating the median, and this time I'm looking at B. So my first step is going to be arrange the numbers into ascending order. Guys, a tip in arranging the numbers in ascending order, once you have done that step, count how many numbers you've got in your ascending order. Then go back and count the number of numbers in the question. Make sure you have the same amount of numbers. Sometimes you might skip a number or add a number in twice. If you go back and do a quick count of the numbers in your ascending order set and the original data set, you'll be able to make sure you've at least got the same amount of numbers. Cuts back on the possibility of being able to make a mistake. So next we need to find the median term. So we're going to use the formula of n plus 1 divided by 2. So this time I've got 17 numbers in my data set. So it's going to be 17 plus 1 divided by 2. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. So it's going to be my 9th term. So in this example, my median is going to be the 9th number in my data set. So to be able to identify the median term, I go and I count my numbers from the beginning until I get to the 9th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've identified my 9th number, and my 9th number is going to be the median. So in this example, the median is going to be 14. Guys, it's really important to remember to, once you've used your formula to calculate the median, you need to go and locate the number. Some students will calculate it as the 9th term, and this assumes that the median is going to be 9. Got to make sure that you are using that calculation to locate the median term. So the last measure of center is the mode, and the mode is the most common. So look for the number that appears the most common, and that is going to be your mode. You don't need to do any working out. You don't need to show any calculations. You can just write down mode equals, and then what the mode is equal to. Now the mode of a data set, it might have one mode. It might have more than one mode. So it might have 2 modes or 3 modes, or there might be no mode. It'll be no mode if no number appears more than once in the data set. So that are some examples of how do we calculate our measures of central tendency, our mean, our median, and our mode. And we use those calculations to help us find the center of our data set.